And a lot of that can be your own mood, your own interactions with people. You can choose to be kind. You can choose to be generous. You can choose to do a lot of those kind of things in your day-to-day life. And then the last one I have for you guys is to, hold on, sorry, the button's like behind it. And this one is, I think, really important. And I think especially right now, because we are living on social media, and that is to compare. Don't compare, to be yourself. It's really easy. And I don't know if you guys see the yellow chair. I kind of thought this was so cool. I have no idea what this picture is taken, but it's really easy to compare. When everyone goes on social media, they put up their like really awesome sidewalk chalk art, and they put up the fun things they're cooking with their families, and they put up, different programs they put together and all this stuff. And it's great, but sometimes it can be hard. And one of the weird things is that we're seeing a lot of people struggling with kind of like that, FOMO, fear of missing out. And I think that is actually not what the cool kids say use anymore, but that feeling of missing out, even though people know that we're all sort of in this together and we're all sheltering in place, there's sort of this weird underlying feeling that you're missing out on stuff, because we are missing out, but we're not necessarily getting left out. So, Theodore Roosevelt says comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's true, because the thing that what you can do instead is, if you find yourself on Instagram, like noticing, like I know for me, I work my office, I'm on my first floor, and there's a window outside, and I see these like fun parents like taking their kids and walking around, and I do that too on time to time, but like I notice I'll feel like this instant like guilt and feeling bad, and then I'm like, oh, they're having fun, and I'm chained into my desk. But what Barbara Fredrickson, she wrote the book on positivity and how it's like so life-changing and flourishing and all this stuff. What she says is, when you find yourself comparing and sort of that jealous kind of feeling, change it from feeling like you're comparing or jealous to being inspired, to being excited. So if something good is happening to them, something good can happen to you. There's enough good in the world for everybody to go around. There is enough good for like you to have good fortune for me. So rather than being like, oh, something good happened to that person and I kind of am jealous or feeling sorry for myself, be like, oh, she got a promotion? Well, then that means maybe I could get a promotion, and use that energy to make yourself feel more excited and positive. I won't go into all the brain science, but when you are in that mode, it actually makes your brain cells change. So when you're in that positive mode, they've showed on MRIs that your brain is actually rejuvenating and regenerating cells. So you're actually building new cells, and you're growing your gray matter in your brain. And when we're negative and feeling like stuck or feeling judgmental or angry or jealous, your brain actually starts to decay. Like brain cells start to die in that. So you're not gonna like fall over dead, but it does at a cellular level, it makes a difference how we choose to try to look and engage with our life. And it's not always easy, but it is important. So it's like as many times as we can try to choose positivity in some way or another. So here I'm going to show you just kind of like a summary, and I know we're just scratching the surface, but being a major talker, I try and keep myself short. Okay, so we've got 5 like really easy, free, you don't need me, you don't need a therapist to do any of these. Like, you can do them, you can do them with friends, do them with your family. Noticing your feelings, letting go of expectations, connecting and laughing, staying focused on today, like keep that today goal. And another thing with it, staying focused on today is like kind of what a lot of times we say when things feel big, and it's like take it day by day. So if you're feeling a big or you're feeling really overwhelmed, just say take it 2 days. Make your goal today and take it day by day. I can get through today. I just have to get through till dinner, and then, or nighttime or whatever, go to bed. And then the last is just not comparing and being yourself. Just be who you are and trust that everything is going to work out. You're not missing out. You're not worse than anyone else. You're not better than anyone else. You are you, they are them. And releasing some of that negativity, if you start feeling that and moving it more towards the good. So that is, I know too, we wanted to leave some time for Q&A. I have a little ebook that's free if anybody wants it. That is downloadable on our website, and I've got an Instagram account that we try to keep really fun with fun stories and sometimes helpful tips, sometimes probably not helpful tips, but anyways. So that is it for me. And I know Megan, did you say you wanted to do Q&A at the very end?
I think what we can do is we have some questions right now for you, okay. And then we can do a Q&A for Dr. Abby also. Okay. Does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you want to do.
Can you keep this on the screen? I'm going to just put the website in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so we do have a couple of questions, and everyone feel free to submit them to me or submit them to everyone if you can. Okay, so this is my question, and there's 3 of them. Okay. What's the best way to manage mom guilt during this time? What's the best way to talk to your kids, your 2nd grader and your 4th grader about COVID? Just, with them hearing everything from like friends or teachers, how do you also just help them filter it and understand? And then what's the best way to deal with your 10-year-old's anxiety during this time?
Totally. Okay, so the first question, now I already forgot it. What was your first question?
Mom guilt. Like, how do you manage mom guilt?
Yeah, I think a lot. First of all, I think it's just knowing that we're not alone. And that's also partly why I like sometimes watching funny memes and funny Instagram accounts and just, seeing different things out there. Knowing you're not alone, and the mom guilt is, I think it's just part of motherhood at any point, but I definitely think using positive self-talk too. It's like, listen, we're doing the best we can. I had a mom that was having a ton of guilt, and she was working around the clock. She couldn't have childcare, and she's sort of sorted that out now, but like initially, so it was a month, and she's like, my kid is on his iPad all day, and and I was like, listen, we're in a crisis, we're in a pandemic, and we're all doing the best we can. And if you can get through the day alive, then you win. And so what we had to do with her, she was experiencing extreme, and I do too, but it's like, we had to change the goal from like maybe your normal like standards for parenting and food and nourishment, all stuff, to survival. Because this kind of was this is more of a survival thing. And she ended up doing much better than just surviving. But it does, sometimes we have to kind of lower the bar a little bit and just say, okay, look. And I said, if you think about, there have been times in our that people have had to do very extreme things. They've had to put their children on boats and be like, go find your uncle on the other side of the country, or hide in this cupboard and don't make any noise for a month, or run, I'm going this way. We've had to do so many things as humans that seem inconceivable and horrible as parents. And so if your kid is, sometimes it's almost like remembering that, like, and those kids bounce back from that. People are resilient. And so this is sort of a traumatic event, and we can't all do it perfectly, especially those of us who are, not able. So anyways, long-winded answer for that. But I think it's just reevaluating the goal. It's like, if you can stay alive, then that's your goal right now. In terms of the kids' anxiety and how to talk to them and all the different mixed messages, I think that it's just really important to ask them questions. Like, let them lead the conversation. Like, what are you feeling about this? What are you hearing? What are your thoughts? And letting them know, listen, we're going to try and stay safe. We're going to do our best. We don't want to get sick, but at the end of the day, we're all like in this together. And I don't think there's like one particular way how to talk about it, but I think one of the best things to do is ask them, like, what are you worried about? Because sometimes we assume they're worried about getting sick, but what they're worried about is something totally different. And kids will largely take their anxiety and put it on one focal point. So they might be worried about soccer in a way that doesn't make sense to you, but that's just something that they can attach their anxiety to. So ask them and just talk to them and really listen to them. And with kids, they're awesome problem solvers. So like, what could we do about this? Like, what could we do? Empower them to soothe themselves with the anxiety too. So I know it's hard though. It is sort of a case by case basis. It depends on the kid. It depends on what they're going through. But you know, I haven't shielded my kids from they're in 3rd and 4th grade. I haven't shielded them from the news, but I also don't like camp out in front of the news. You know, both my kids have been worried at different times, and I've been like, well, we don't know for certain what the future holds. We don't know what would happen if, like, you know, we get sick. But we do know that a lot of people get better, and we have to take this seriously. But we also, you know, I kind of just, and then asking them questions like, well, what are they most worried about? And they weren't worried about what I thought they were. They were worried about different things. So did that answer? And then what was the last one? The 10-year-old?
Oh, no, you answered it.
Okay,
Yeah, I think, you know, we're trying to do that too, is just, you know, ask them questions, you know, like, what do you know? And my 8-year-old actually surprised me a couple weeks ago with knowing what COVID-19 actually stood for.
Oh.
She pointed out letter by letter, and I was like, how did you know that? Who told you that? What, Riley? What, Betsy?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you did. So yeah, she, you know, had heard this from friends. She's got, you know, some Zoom chats with friends, and they were talking about it, which I just thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, just being honest and upfront, and yeah, that's a good point, is just asking them, you know, what are you worried about? What are you thinking about? What do you know? What, you know, but I think, yeah, just all the uncertainty is what is the scariest for them, and all managing the disappointment over, you know, canceled shows and dances and recitals and baseball games and basketball, you know, all of that, on top of, you know, being stuck in the house is a challenge.
And adding to that too, oh, sorry, what I just want to add one point to that is that sharing how you feel about it too. Like, you know what, mommy doesn't know all the future, and I'm nervous too, but I also am confident that we're going to get through this and that we're going to be, you know, it's like you don't have to be the answer. You don't have to have an answer to every question. Sometimes that's the best thing kids can see, is that, you know, that they're you guys can work through it together. Like, you're not the you know, you don't know everything. No one does. And that you guys can both do it together, and that you might feel uncertain, but here's how you handle it, and here's what you think, stuff like that. So
that's a good point. And I think as a parent, you also always want to have the answers.
Yes,
but
totally.
That's a good point to just say, I don't know, and I'm not certain.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now I feel better about being a mom.
You're doing great. You're doing just great.
We have another question. How can you redirect an adult child from afar? So,
And that's my question.
Okay.
I have a 28-year-old who I'm not currently seeing much of. He's in the city, and we're keeping social distance. And it's all, I mean, you get to a point with the adult children where I'm still the safety net. So where when he's upset about anything, he'll go off about it at me, which stresses me out more because I don't have any answer. And there's a point at which I want to say, can you like maybe take it down about 9,000 notches? And what you were saying, Lauren, I was taking notes on what you were saying about when you hold on to either the jealousy or the negativity, killing little baby brain cells. I'm like, oh, I don't want his little brain cells to be killed.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Is it better for me to allow him to vent to me because I'm the one safe place where he can? Or do I try to redirect? I mean, he knows me, you know, when I've done well, what do you think about that? He goes, I think you're playing therapist.
Yeah. He's a little old for it. He's kind of sees right through it.
Yeah. So any thoughts about, what do you let it rant, or do you stop it?
So I feel mixed on it. Like, I personally am a ranter. I feel like I'm like, I gotta get this out. But I've actually seen a lot of research that shows Ranting actually doesn't help much. Venting actually exacerbates it's kind of like itching a rash. Like you itch and you want to itch it, but then it makes it more flare up more. But at the same time, one of the principles of life is nobody likes being told what to do, and you're his safe spot. So sometimes kids will like and throughout their whole life, like I wouldn't expect it to change no matter how old your son gets, they sort of dump on you, and then he probably hangs up the phone and feels great, like goes about his day, and you feel terrible because you kind of absorbed it. So one of the things you might say is just, I do think redirect is listening, and just try not to fall for the bait of trying to fix it or sugarcoat it or anything. Just listen and be like, this is hard. Like, try not to absorb it, because then if you continue to like, well, but the blah 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 and da 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 da, and well, you can't be too negative. You're just gonna go in a circle. He's gonna keep doing it. So I think it's just more so being like, hey, listen, I'm here for you, and you can even say like, I just read something that says it's mad, and you just talk about it all the time. It just makes you more mad. So, or you're scared, it makes you more scared. Like maybe like, let's just talk about something else for a minute, or just kind of maybe bring in something funny, interrupt him, kind of just be like, oh my gosh, wait, did you see this thing? Like kind of maybe try to get him off the loop a little bit. But at the end of the day, your job isn't really to control or help. It's just be there and absorb, but don't fall for the trick of trying to fix it or put a positive spin on it, or just you can use the emotional coaching, like naming the feelings, like, God, you sound really stressed. Try like pointing out what is it. You sound really stressed. Like, I wish I could fix that for you. I wish I'm stressed. I wish I could fix it for me. Like,
yeah,
just kind of name it. But I do think I love ranting. That feels so good, but it doesn't really do much for your brain or your mood. It actually makes it worse. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Yeah, that's a great question.
We have some other questions. How long are your telehealth calls? Are you calling it telehealth?
Yeah,
And then,
whatever.
Okay, are they by phone? Are they by Zoom? And are they covered by insurance?
Yes. So our insurance is, at least for the next foreseeable couple of months, I think, are all covered like normal visits. And we have a HIPAA compliant, it's like a Zoom, it's a HIPAA compliant website. You click on it, it's like medical professionals use it like a waiting room. But you don't have to be tech savvy. Honestly, we've gotten permission to use pretty much any platform. So if that is intimidating, we can do like anything really. FaceTime, we prefer to use the HIPAA compliant one, Google Hangouts, Google Meet. The sessions are usually about 45 to 50 minutes. And then the first one's usually like 60 minutes, but we kind of vary too. So if people are like just zoomed out, like we can end it a little early, but usually it's been pretty good. I mean, we've had, so it's covered with insurance. We're in with three major insurances, and the ones that we're not, we can help get out of network coverage and stuff for people. So try and keep it affordable and accessible for everyone, especially now.
Okay, great. Do we have any more questions? I don't see any. Let's move on. Thank you, Lauren, so much. I appreciate it. Let's move on to Dr. Abby. Dr. Abby, you have a screen to share, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Dr. Abby, can we see that baby? That's all I want to know.
He's not here. Hold on, I'm trying to get this. I like how you asked that as a question, PJ.
Of course.
I should have just done that. Like, baby time is good for everyone's health.
It totally is. I want to smell the baby. That's that baby powder. Oh.
Okay, hold on, guys. It says I have to change my system preferences to share my screen. That's so annoying.
That's okay. I'm sure PJ can fill the quiet.
Yeah, or tell you how to do it.
Yeah, right?
I'll mute myself. Sorry, guys.
Abby, do you want to send it to Megan? Because maybe she can, if she gets it, she can pop it up more easily.
Okay.
This is where the baby would come in handy.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, because the baby could probably figure it out.
You can also just do, I mean, we're pretty laid back. You can also just do it without the slides if you're okay
Yeah,
with
but
that.
I think people are going to want them because I have a ton of info on here. So I'm just sending you it's a PowerPoint.
Okay.
You noticed I didn't say send it to me since I clearly
I'm not sending it to Betsy.
Yeah.
Good
If I
call.
make it through the weekend with my phone and not either killing it or me, I think that it will be. I probably should have put
Yes.
that in there for Lauren and and Abby, you know all the supplements I take, so just tell me what to double up on so I can
Yeah.
shoot the phone.
We'll
Okay,
just have a chat.
so the problem is because I'm recording this, I cannot minimize the screen and get into my email. So
Oh, that didn't work.
what's the workaround? PJ, unmute yourself. I know you have an answer.
You asked me to speak or mute. So what you can do is Alt-tab your computer and you can get into your files. Recording has nothing to do with that.
Alt-tab.
Alt-tab.
Everybody try it. Let's all Alt-tab.
You got it?
Yeah, hold on.
Were you talking to Megan or Abby for
Megan, Megan, do you got it?
Oh.
Not yet.
Oh, that was for Megan?
Sorry.
that? Who knows what will happen if you do it, Abby?
I know.
Abby,
But
do you
I
have a,
emailed you the PowerPoint.
okay. So Abby, you can't share your screen?
It says I have to go into my settings
Okay,
and
so-
something.
Abby, Megan, make Abby a co-host, please.
Post.
Got it.
Is she the co-host now? I
No.
don't see it
I'm
yet.
just gonna make her the host. It's not letting me
Co-host.
make.
Co-host is the second one down from the host. Nope. Okay.
No, it's
Make her a host and she can share her screen then.
okay.
You can take it back if you want to, Megan, at any
It's
time.
okay.
If she gets unruly.
I trust her. It's okay.
Dr. Abby, can you see it now?
Ooh, did it work?
It's
Ooh, there
working.
you go.
Yeah.
We got it.
Boom. Okay. Great.
Thanks, PJ.
You're welcome.
PJ's the best. All right. So I just want to give you guys kind of a basic breakdown of nutrition, why it's important, and I get questions all the time on what supplements should I be taking. So some basic take homes for you guys. So first I want to talk about why does nutrition even matter? The best analogy I can think of for this, you guys, is a car. So the fuel you put in your body absolutely affects how you function. So think about a super, super nice car. If you don't put that ultra premium gas in it, it's not going to run so well. So we can use food as medicine to support different body symptoms. So for example, the immune system, that's a huge hot topic right now. You can use food to support that. It doesn't necessarily have to just be supplements and taking a ton of vitamins. You can support your gut and digestion. You can support your hormones, all based on how you eat. And a really important note I tell my patients all the time, as much as you want to, you cannot out-supplement or medicate a bad diet. So I have to have that tough conversation with a lot of people. They're like, can I just take another supplement for that? Like, no, not really. It kind of has to start with food first and then supplement after. So, well, okay. So here we go. Which diet, everyone asks me this because there's a million different diets out there. Which one is best for me? One day you hear cholesterol's bad, the next day it's amazing. So like, where to even start? So what I'm gonna give you guys today is just some basics. Like everyone on the planet could pretty much eat this way and it would be beneficial for them. Of course, there's more therapeutic type diets, but this is kind of the basic changes you can make today. So what I recommend people eat is protein. Protein is the building block of every cell in our body. We absolutely need it, but quality is really important here. So with animal protein, you want to look at, if you're talking about fish, like wild caught, we don't want to be eating farm raised stuff. With other animal sources like free range, grass fed, organic, all that stuff really matters. our food is only as healthy as the animal is. So if the animals are sick and full of medications and infections and don't get to roam around like they should, it's not the best meat to eat. So quality matters. Veggies and fruits and healthy fats. So healthy things, fats are things like healthy oils, olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, nuts and seeds, stuff like that. Okay, and then the foods I recommend avoiding are probably all of the quarantine foods. All right, but you want to check up on processed sugar, of course, not great. We all know that. Stuff in baked goods, candies, that sort of stuff. Wheat, okay, so stuff that's like wheat flour based. Think about this as like your simple carbohydrates. Cookies, breads, pastas, cakes, pastries, okay? Betsy's favorite food group. Really watch that. Simple carbohydrates are really, really inflammatory and they spike your blood sugar really fast. So this can also affect when people are feeling really anxious right now. That can absolutely affect that. You want to be eating foods that are lower in sugar. Our mood directly follows blood sugar pattern. Okay, so if you want to keep your blood sugar stable, that's stuff like protein and fat, not as much carbohydrate. Think about like white and brown foods are usually not the richest in nutrients. Corn is another one I recommend people avoid. It's a grain. We tend to think of it as a vegetable. It's not really a vegetable. If you think about it, we feed corn to animals to make them really fat. So if
Can I
that's
comment on that for a
cool,
second? Can I comment on that?
yeah,
My mom grew up on a farm and she used to say, that's what we fatten the pigs with.
yeah, 100%.
She never let us eat corn.
Yes. It's like to
Oh,
make people as fat as quickly as possible.
yes. So I
Yeah.
agree 100%.
Totally. PJ votes yes. And watch for corn, you guys. It's a filler in a lot of weird things. So if you look at ingredients, corn can hide out. You might be eating more of it than you know. And if you're going more gluten-free, a lot of gluten-free products are corn-based. So really look into that. It can like hide out in a lot of gross ways. Dairy is another one. Dairy is really inflammatory. Dairy is a spectrum. There's people that are lactose intolerant and people that handle it all right. But the bottom line is we are not cows. We are not designed to break down cow's milk. It just is what it is. So watch the dairy intake. Dairy is also, when we're talking about the immune system and lung health, etc., dairy produces mucus. A lot of people notice this. If they have ice cream the night before, they're like gunky and more mucousy. So if you tend towards sinus infections and stuff like that, even allergies, taking away dairy can provide people with a ton of relief for those symptoms. So look into that. And then the last one is soy. Soy in this country, unfortunately, is super processed. It's like made really quickly. Soy can affect hormones, especially in women, in a negative way. So look at that. Soy hides out in a lot of like protein shakes, protein bars. It's just not a complete source of protein, so it's not the best. Okay, so that's the stuff I recommend people avoid. All right, so now on to supplementation. Why do I need supplements? People ask me all the time. I eat really, really clean. Why do I need to take anything? Now, remember from what I talked about before, supplements should be supplemental. They should supplement a good balanced diet. However, we are really nutrient depleted. And I used to think like you should be able to get everything you need from your diet. But honestly, the longer I go and practice, I just think our soil is so depleted of minerals. Like the good organic veggies you eat now, like straight from the farmer's market, have far less nutrient value than they did 20 years ago. It just is what it is. It's really, really hard to get what we need from nutrition alone. And so that's where supplements can, in a really nice way, fill in the gaps. Think about our soil quality, the stuff we're doing, like genetically modify everything, pesticides. Even if you're getting stuff all organic, there's pesticide runoff and who knows, you just never know. So we just do our best. But it's really hard to get everything we need off of supplements. A great example living in Chicago is vitamin D. Like it's virtually impossible. I mean, now with quarantine, it's 10 times worse, but it's cloudy all the time, it's rainy, and then we have all winter. Like, to get adequate D levels, you have to be bare skin in the sunlight to absorb it through your body. That's also depending on your genetics, doing a good job of utilizing the D, which who knows if that's even happening. And so that's one that's a no-brainer, and I'm going to talk about in a couple slides, like my top recommendations supplement-wise for everyone. But then I want to talk about the supplement industry because it's kind of a disaster. So I chose this picture because people tell me all the time, I go on Whole Foods and there's 10 aisles of supplements, and where do I even start? How do you even know what's good? And which dosage to take and what you should be taking. So it's really important for you guys to understand the supplement industry is not regulated. So that means, like, Betsy could start up Betsy's supplement shop tomorrow and pretty much do whatever she wants, right? So it's really hard. Besides passing like manufacturing standards and stuff like that, there's no regulation on supplements. So I really recommend that if you're going to spend your time and money taking a supplement, to get it from a trusted source. And unfortunately, that source is not somewhere like Whole Foods. A lot of people with the best intention go in there thinking it's a great place. And not that they're all bad. There's some things I totally recommend that you can buy from Whole Foods, but you just don't know. There's not like a doctor that has vetted the brands that they're selling. So, and another like thing to add to that is I definitely would recommend, unless you're just taking really basic stuff like we're going to talk about today, to work with your healthcare provider on what you specifically need, because what works for your sister or your neighbor might not be what you need. I see this all the time. People just start taking herbs and stuff like that needs to be more specific for you, and you're under, like, you have a healthcare practitioner monitoring you and making sure you're getting the results you need. Okay, so I always recommend buy from a professionally regulated center, like my office, Be Optimal in Glenview. Okay, we anything we carry is physician grade, meaning you have to be a doctor to even order it. And so when that happens, it's just like with medication. They're actually going through, all these companies do third-party quality testing. They do research to make sure their products are effective. They're certifying like what they say is on the bottle is actually in the bottle. Like, there's been crazy lawsuits for places like GNC that is what is in their pills isn't even what it says. So it's really crazy. So make sure you're getting good stuff. So basic supplement recommendations. This is stuff so you guys are aware. I was thinking, if I could have everyone in America take a handful of supplements, what would those be? And this is what I came up with. Okay, pretty much none of these are going to hurt anybody. They're only going to be beneficial. And pretty much all of these, arguably, everyone's deficient in. Okay, so number one is vitamin D. You want to make sure it's the D3 form. I've seen some people that come in with a D2. I didn't even know they made that. That's the inactive form. That makes no sense. So get D3. And I usually recommend people take 5,000 IUs a day. So D is measured in individual units is what it's called. I have some patients take much more than that, but you really have to get your levels tested to know. 5,000 is a nice safe dose. The research shows you need 4,000 IUs a day just to maintain your levels. And I would say 90+% of people are low. And so this is like the problem I have with, for example, Whole Foods. Not that their vitamin D is bad, but their dosage in one pill is usually between 1,000 and 1,500 IUs, which literally is going to do nothing. So look at your D3. Probably a lot of you take D every day, see what the concentration is, and bump it up to 5,000. So you might need to take 2 to 3 pills a day to get yourself there, but that will actually, in a really nice, gentle way, raise your levels over time. Okay, and pretty much everyone year-round in Chicago, you could take 5,000 a day. Your levels are not going to get too high doing that, even in the summer. Betsy takes 10. Yeah, I mean, I've had patients take 20,000. So you don't have to be scared of 5,000 a day. Okay, next is vitamin C. I usually recommend between 1,000 and 5,000 milligrams a day. Again, look at your dosage. A lot of over-the-counter stuff is like 250 milligrams. 500 milligrams. Vitamin C is a great one where you can't overdose on it. D3, arguably you can. You'd have to still take an insane amount for a long time. But with C, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to be in the bathroom. Okay. So to find your upper limit of C, I usually recommend people dose up, like take one pill. For example, the C we have in the office is 1,000 milligrams per capsule. Take one every couple hours. You'll eventually get to the point where you have to use the restroom, then back off a little bit, and that's your upper limit. Okay. Like I take 3,000 milligrams a day. But the cool thing about vitamin C is the research shows if you really high dose C for the first 48 hours of the onset of symptoms of a virus, so coronavirus included, the minute you wake up, you know, you have a scratchy throat, you're like, oh no, cold's coming, kill it with vitamin C for 48 hours, like 5,000 milligrams a day. That's research proven to lower the duration and the severity of viral infections. So there's a reason in a lot of countries they're actually using IV dose vitamin C to treat coronavirus. So that's a great one to have on hand for yourself, your kids, your family. Viruses come on, super high dose of C is very effective. Another one is zinc. This is one that you can pretty easily buy over the counter. Like the zinc we carry at the Optimal, you can buy the exact same one at Whole Foods. The one we have is 15 milligrams a day. Virtually everyone is deficient in zinc. It's really hard to get. The number one food for zinc is raw oysters. So I don't think a lot of us are eating those all the time. It's a super easy supplement, teeny tiny pill, no big deal, easy to add to your regimen. You can look, a lot of multivitamins will have zinc, but it usually is like a teeny tiny bit. So I'd recommend supplementing that one extra. Zinc also in preliminary studies has been shown to completely like disassemble coronavirus. So it's pretty cool. So that one's like a no-brainer to take, and it's really hard to find right now in stores because all this research got floating around and everyone's buying all the zinc. But we have it. Okay. Next one's a high-quality probiotic. This is one absolutely get from a trusted medical provider. Most probiotics are complete garbage and do nothing. Not going to sugarcoat it. Like light your money on fire if you're buying a probiotic from Costco. Get it from somewhere that's good, that has the research that shows it's going to work. But we know the gut is 80% of our immune function. So like if everyone could support one body system, I would say out of all these supplements to do a high quality probiotic if you're picking one thing, because it's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck because the gut is so important. My personal favorite is Megaspore Biotic. That could be a whole nother talk, but spore-based probiotics are like the new amazing thing. We have that at Be Optimal along with a couple other just like general probiotics that are great. And the last one is magnesium. This is great for everyone that's feeling stressed right now and feeling tension and feeling tight from sitting on Zooms all day at their desk. Almost no one gets enough magnesium. It's a really easy supplement to take. This is another one that you could get over the counter like at Whole Foods and it's probably fine. Just look at, again, the concentration. So you might be like, that's not ideal. I'd have to take 4 pills a day versus a higher concentrated one would be like 1. There's different forms of magnesium that help with different things. So do your research on what you think would benefit you the most. I personally love magnesium glycinate. I take that every day. That's good for like calmness and calming the mind. There's magnesium citramate. That's a little bit better for like muscle tension. So you can kind of explore the different magnesiums, but honestly, any of them would be beneficial. And that dosage would be like 300 to 500 milligrams a day is what you want to look at. And that's pretty much it. So here's our contact information. We are open for business. We're an essential business for chiropractic care along with nutritional consults. And so you guys know we have a whole store with supplements for you and your family. You can access that online and you can also call. We're not having people come in and like shop right now, but you can call. Our amazing office manager, Damien, will set you up if you're like, hey, I need some vitamin D and vitamin C, and we're doing curbside pickup, or we ship, whatever you would need. So let us know how we can support you.
Thanks, Dr. Evie. We have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Someone is following you on Instagram or Facebook and sees that Quinn eats meat. What is your view on meat? You addressed that a little bit, but
it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yes, My view on meat is that, again, like I said, protein is the building block of every cell in our body. In my opinion, we have like canine pointy teeth for a reason. We're meant to eat both plant and animal product. I will say, like, I have plenty of vegetarian patients. It is harder to do that in a healthy way, though, I find. I find for a lot of people, it's kind of a matter of time going vegetarian. They might feel better, but for a lot of people, they end up replacing the animal protein with a lot more grain or carbohydrate, which is inflammatory. And so it's harder to do a vegetarian diet in a balanced way, but with animal protein, quality is so important. Like, I would much rather someone be a vegetarian than eating horrible quality protein. So for me personally, I go off of like whatever is available in the stores that week. That's like organic, grass-fed. That's what we consume. So one week at Whole Foods, there might not be good quality beef. So we're doing like organic free-range chicken for our meals. I do think we should eat plant forward. I don't, like, most Americans probably eat more meat products than we need to, for sure. But I do think that meat for most, there's no one size fits all, but for most people is an important part of their diet.
Got it. Okay. Do kids need supplements? And if so, what are the best supplements for kids?
Kids, I would say that depends on how their diet is. If kids are eating the typical kid foods, which are not great,
right,
then yeah, absolutely. Kids usually need less, though. They don't need to supplement a ton. I love a great multivitamin for kids. That's a no-brainer. It covers your bases for when you got a couple days and they're going to pizza parties and eating whatever. Because I also don't think kids should be deprived and you can only eat the paleo diet. Like, that's so unrealistic. So a great multivitamin for kids, look at the ingredients in these multivitamins. A lot of them have the vitamins, but they might not be in the proper available form for the body to use. A lot of kids' vitamins are full of a bunch of sugar and like artificial dyes, and it just like makes no sense.
like
so
the
I would recommend
vitamins that we took when we were kids.
Yeah, like horrible.
Right.
So look at ingredients in that. I really like, you can find at Whole Foods. I give my daughter, because she's a little young to be doing like a chewable.
Yeah.
I give her, the brand is Nordic Naturals. They do a really nice job. They make fish oils and stuff for kids too. So like I give her a multivitamin and a fish oil supplement every day. But there's lots more. It depends on what's going on with the kid. If kids have gut problems or eczema and allergies, like you can go further down that rabbit hole to support them in different ways. But I would say a multivitamin is great. A fish oil is great because most kids don't get enough of those omega-3s, the really good fats that are so necessary for brain development. And a probiotic isn't a bad idea either.
Okay. Thank you. Next question is, what supplements are good for perimenopausal or menopausal women?
This is hard to answer in a generic way because it depends on the symptoms the person is experiencing. But I've seen amazing results with herbs. Like adaptogenic herbs can work great to help balance people's hormones naturally. So there's a couple different products I use that are like blends of herbs designed to help balance female hormones. There's homeopathics that are very effective for night sweats that you can find at Whole Foods. It'll say right on the package for like menopause. And homeopathics are great because they're gentle, safe for everyone. It's not going to cause any weird side effects. But with stuff like menopause, that's where I really recommend working with someone specifically because it depends on what's out of balance for you particularly. For some people, it's like a liver detoxification issue. For some people, it's more of a hormonal imbalance. For some people, it's just need to work on bringing up their energy and vitality. So it really depends, but I would say check out the homeopathics. They've really helped a lot of my patients with like night sweats and stuff like that.
Okay, good. Next question, what's the best time of day to take the supplements? And do you do it with food or without food?
Oh, great question. Time of day depends on the supplement, but most things, like the things I talked about, vitamin D can give people energy. It's not like you have to do it in the morning. I feel fine no matter when I take it, but better safe than sorry, do the morning. Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So that one is very important that you take with food. Okay. A lot of people take vitamin D first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. It's very hard for your body to utilize that way. So definitely do it with a meal, whether that's breakfast, lunch, whatever. Probiotics, I usually recommend, if you want to get the most bang for your buck, to do them with dinner. Spore-based probiotics specifically do better with food. And your digestive system is really working and absorbing and doing its thing at night. So it's the most effective technically later in the day. However, like for myself, I can't remember ever to take anything at night. I have to take all my stuff in the morning with breakfast or it's off the rails. So with most supplements, I recommend doing it when you'll remember, because consistency is more important than it being like a tiny bit more effective at a certain time of day. With the vast majority of supplements, they're going to absorb better with a meal. And also for a lot of people, they just don't feel great taking a handful of pills on an empty stomach. So there's very few exceptions to that. So I would stick with doing them with meals.
Okay, good. Do you have any supplement recommendations to support hair regrowth?
Hair regrowth, this is a whole rabbit hole because it depends on why your hair is falling out in the first place. So that can be from many things. For a lot of people, it can be stress based. A lot of, like, I had friends in college that their hair would start falling out like crazy during final exams, right? So if that's the case, if you feel like that's you, looking at ways to manage stress, but really great supplements for that. Like today we talked about magnesium. That's a no-brainer. Take that to help manage anxiety. For stress, I love a supplement. It's called Lavella. It's actually essential oil lavender in a capsule. And the company that makes it is Integrative Therapeutics. You can buy it at Be Optimal. But they actually clinically studied that supplement against anxiety medication, and it performed better. It's very cool. It's safe for people to take. It's essential oil. I mean, it's like nothing crazy. So ways to manage stress, but the other reason the hair thing can happen is hormonal. And so that would obviously be more specific to the person. I'd recommend for sure getting a thyroid panel done to check the thyroid health, and other hormones. Because for people where that's the cause, you've really got to fix the hormones.
Okay, good. I have another question here. Can you comment on the type of melatonin to use, how long to use it for? Can it work for insomnia?
So melatonin I don't love. And here's why. It's kind of a coin toss as to if it's going to work. Melatonin is a hormone that your body naturally produces. And so melatonin will only work for you if you are truly deficient in melatonin, which is actually not that common. And so, you know, for some people, it's the miracle cure. So I'm not saying it's 100% not effective, but the way I look at things is I always want to get to the root cause of like why the insomnia is happening. So for melatonin, for a lot of people, it's kind of a Band-Aid. Now it's a natural Band-Aid. It's better than taking NyQuil every night to pass out. But if you have to take melatonin every night to sleep, there's a deeper imbalance going on, in my opinion. So I've had a lot of people that just work on their sleep hygiene and then they sleep way better. So instead of going straight from Zoom calls or scrolling Facebook or watching TV to bed, do no screens for 30 minutes before bed. Do a hot bath before bed. Read an actual paper book. Like, let your system calm down, because in order for your body to produce melatonin, which makes you sleepy, you cannot be stimulated. It doesn't work. You won't create it. So I always advise people with insomnia, first and foremost, to try and up your sleep hygiene routine. Give your body a chance to make the hormones it's supposed to make to help you fall asleep. See how that shifts things, and then go from there. But there are a couple supplements I use to help people sleep. There's a supplement from Integrative Therapeutics called Prosom, Prosom, which can help people sleep. There's one from Pure Encapsulations called Best Rest, which is like an herbal blend to help promote sleep. For some people, CBD oil can work beautifully. And so I look at sleep supplements as more a temporary tool, because ultimately I want people to be able to sleep without a supplement. You know, you shouldn't have to also take a supplement every single night in order to sleep well. So for a lot of people, it takes committing to changing those habits, and then it's a lot easier.
Okay. Any other questions, anyone? Betsy, do you have a question? No.
Now I've been making my list of the things I've got to reorder, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm out of vitamin C, and I think that lobelia, the lavender thing sounds interesting as well.
Lavella is awesome.
Yeah. And
Yeah, wait, what was the, I need to write that down. Can you tell me how to spell that?
Lavella, Lavela.
And I can just buy it. I can buy it from you guys, Abby?
Yeah, you can call and pick it up whenever.
And as Dr. B knows, I think she's on the call, I've had an ongoing fight with my hair loss, but you know, I think I'm losing. So we'll continue down that way. We tried a lot. But this was great. Lauren and Dr. Abby, thank you so much. This was really fantastic. And thanks to everybody who got on the call. Megan will have the tapes so that you both can put them up on your site if you want to, and then we will put them up on our Access the Experts expert panel. And we appreciate it. Anybody else have anything else?
I don't see anything. Thank you both so much, Lauren and Dr. Abby. We love having you and love that you guys support the chamber. We really appreciate it.
Great.
Yes.
Stay well, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.